Hey guys, I just wanted to put out this quick video because as I'm working my way through the book of Galatians, getting ready for the next installment in that Bible study, something keeps bothering me. I'm getting a lot of messages from folks suggesting that we just read what the words literally say and stop trying to put our own interpretation on them. For those of you who saw my recent conversation with Sean Griffin of Kingdom in Context, you probably have noticed that he very much takes the text of the Bible literally. And here's the thing that's bothering me. Can any individual word have a literal meaning? For example, what is the literal meaning of the English word run? Think about it. What is the literal meaning of the word run? It doesn't have one. It has a range of meanings, right? I'm going out for a run. I'm running for office. My eggs are runny. I ran across a friend at the airport. I have to run to the store. My sports team had a great run this year. Did you hear the run that jazz guitarist just played? So the word run has a multiplicity of meanings. It's what we call a semantic range. And some words have a range of maybe just 2 or 3 meanings. Others, like the word run, have a much larger range. Dr. Bill Mounts likens a word to a bundle of sticks, and each stick represents a meaning or a use of the word. And one of the sticks may be larger than the other ones. It may be the dominant stick, but it's not the only stick in the bundle. And recognizing this fact about language has a tremendous impact on interpreting the Bible. Because when you're interpreting a verse, which is a string of words, in Hebrew or in Greek, if you want to translate that verse literally, then every word in that verse has to have a literal meaning. And on top of that, individual words are very often used metaphorically rather than literally. For example, in Exodus 3:17, Yahweh describes the promised land as a land flowing with milk and honey. So the Hebrew word for flow here is the 3 letters, Zayin, Vav, Bet. And it can mean flow or drip or suffer a discharge. So first of all, there is no literal meaning for this word. And on top of that, if we choose the meaning of flowing, are we then to understand it as applying to the promised land in a literal way? Are there literally flowing rivers and streams comprised of literal milk, the nutritional liquid secreted by the mammary glands of female mammals, and literally honey, the sweet, viscid fluid produced by bees from the nectar of flowers? I mean, is that what Exodus 3:17 is teaching? Because that's what a literal reading of this passage would look like. Or look at John 10:7. Where Jesus says, "Truly, truly, I say to you." In other words, I'm going to tell you something very true right now. And then he says, "I am the door of the sheep." So the Greek word for door here is thera, which can mean door or entrance or gate. And the word for sheep is probaton, which refers to the animal. So is Jesus a literal door, a movable physical barrier for opening and closing an entryway? Is he a literal door through which literal sheep, ruminant mammals closely related to goats, through which those sheep enter something? These are the kind of absurd conclusions we're forced into if we want to take everything from individual words to metaphorical statements literally. Now, that isn't to say they're not true, but sometimes they aren't to be taken literally, which is why there's no such thing as a literal translation of Scripture. Because if every individual word has a literal meaning, then you would need to define every single word of a string of words literally. So I'm just challenging us all to approach Scripture maturely and respectfully, accounting for the nuance of language and translation, and earnestly trying to understand the text in the way that the author intended his audience to understand it. I mean, when the psalmist writes that God keeps the pillars of the earth steady, is he making a scientific statement of planetary cosmology? Or is he making a theological statement about God? And when Jesus refers to the mustard seed as the smallest of all seeds, is he giving a lesson on botany? Or is this an analogy about faith? So let's not make the mistake of thinking that Scripture can or should literally be interpreted literally. I mean, when scholars talk about literal interpretation, what they mean is that the biblical text is to be interpreted according to the plain meaning that's conveyed by its grammatical construction and its historical context. So, thanks for watching. Shalom. And I mean that literally.